Marc Jackson, Comcast Sportsnet, Sixers pre- and post-game, but of course, played in the league a long time, traveled all over the world playing NBA basketball in all sorts of countries, follows the game very closely. Of course, a Temple grad alum as well, and he joins us now with a look at the NBA playoffs in full swing, Mark. And first off, I got to get your take on a 1 seed in Boston being down 2-0. When you watch that series, pal, do you see a 1 seed in all sorts of trouble?
I do. I see a 1 seed in a truckload of trouble, man. They can't rebound the ball. You know, and Chicago is known as a team that's known as not being shooters, and they seem to be out shooting Boston. You know, so Boston's really struggling. Even though Isaiah is getting his numbers, that team just don't look like they're on the right page.
The lack of rim protection seems like it's hurting Boston, Mark. A Nerlens Noel deal for them might have been something that they should have considered at the deadline there. They held on to that draft choice. They decided not to make a trade, and now it looks like that lack of rim protection is something that is really rearing its ugly face in right now.
Yes, it is. They're playing Big Al Horford, man, who's a very good veteran player, a lot of skill, but they're playing him out of position. He's playing center. Then they bring Olenek off the bench. You know, he's really a power forward. So they're trying to play a big man's game with these small-body big guys, and it's not working for them. You know, that Nerlens Noel, even the Jahlil Okafor deal that they turned down, too, needed some points in the paint. That could have helped them, too, because they're struggling. They need a big body or somebody who can either rim defend or give them some easy buckets around that basket. Either one could have worked for them right about now.
Mark, how about Isaiah Thomas? Can you even put into words what he must be going through?
Not at all. Not at all. You know, what that young man is going through now it's a heavy heart, man. It's a heavy heart for anybody who has siblings, who has relatives, period, who's lost someone close. For him to actually go out and play and try to, you know, come back and give it his all after he losing his sister tragic to a car accident, you know, it's got to weigh on him. And not just him, but his whole team. You know, you see it in the shoot-around before the first game. He was very emotional, man, and my heart goes out to him and the whole family because it's got to be a heavy burden, you know, to lose someone in your family, but not just lose anyone, to lose somebody such young nature and 22 years old. You know, it's got to be hard to him.
You think then that's had an effect or it's changed the series at all?
If anything, I think it would help the team kind of bind together, rally around him, and give it, you know, an extra bump to kind of help their team win. I think Isaiah's he's not shooting the ball particularly well for his percentage-wise, but he's still getting some good numbers. You know, I don't think it's really hurting the team because I felt you could have used that. I hate to say this, so forgive me, but they could have kind of rallied around him and for their teammate, let's go out there and play a little extra harder. But respectfully, they're just getting outplayed. You know, Chicago just playing tremendous basketball. Dwayne Wade, even though he missed a couple of dunks, we're not going to talk about that. But Chicago seems to be manhandling them around the rim area, getting second-chance points, actually hitting shots, which we all know Chicago at that roster shouldn't be known as a shooting team to be hit any basket.
Marc Jackson's with us, of course, Sixers pre- and post-game live, former NBA player. Mark, you look at the series the way it's gone. They're going on the road. And, look, you take Isaiah Thomas, who's had a tremendous year. He's a great story. But you're looking at a 5'7" scorer. I mean, he's not Allen Iverson. Do you just see that this team is flawed and that, you know, that they're not getting back in the series? Or do you think that he can bring them back? Can the Celtics get back into this series and win it?
To be honest with you, even with Isaiah Thomas, with that huge heart, he's 5'7", 5'8". But his heart's got to be all at 7'7". You know, even with him getting the buckets, getting the points, getting the foul around the basket, some easy buckets, I don't think they have a consistent second choice. You know, Boston's been a tremendous defensive team because they're so quick at every position. But even when Chicago's missing their shot, they're able to get second chance points. The big guy in the middle, Lopez, he's just been an opposing factor and it's putting in major damage. You know, I just think that's hurting Boston because even when they get a stop, Chicago's able to get second-chance points, and it just wears you down when you're a smaller team, such as the Boston Celtics.
Hey, Mark, can you kind of put into some sort of visual for our listeners about how difficult and just amazing that Thomas has been? How difficult is it in the NBA landscape to play at his height? How hard is it to be successful that small and that far under the rim?
You know, and that was one of the reasons why he was drafted so late, early in his career, late second round, because of his size. He think he couldn't be as effective as he is because of his size. But, you know, I was teammates with Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson was legit 6 foot. People have a 6'1", but AI was about 5'11", 6 feet, standing on the yellow pages. And he was about 150 pounds soaking wet with bottles of water in his pocket. I mean, but Isaiah being 5'7", it has to be able to score over taller defenders. Even when he thinks has a guy beat, he has to create even more room and more space to get his shot off because he's so much shorter than a defender. And nowadays, even though a defender may be 6'1", it's most likely has 6'6" arm span. So you're shooting over a guy who's legitimately 6'6" every night, every in and out of the game. So Isaiah Thomas is showing impressive skill to score, but it has to be difficult. As you think it's hard for LeBron being 6'9", 250. Imagine how much harder it has to be for Isaiah to be a consistent scorer for that Boston Celtics.
Marc Jackson with us talking NBA playoffs. And Mark, how about the Bucks-Raptors series? Is this a legit series, or did that game one loss just open the Raptors' eyes up a little bit?
You know, to be honest, I really believe the Raptors, other than LeBron James and that three-point shooting squad out there in Golden State. But I think they're a complete ball team, Toronto Raptors. I think they're a complete ball team. You know, they have Kyle Lowry. They got DeRozan. You know, so that means they have a veteran point guard. They have a legitimate scorer who does not rely on a three-point shot. They have added Ibaka, a defensive presence, somebody who can pick and pop and stretch the floor. They got the big guy in the middle of our shooters who can score down there and also gets a second chance points. And they got a nice bench. You know, I think they're so complete. I think they've been very underrated this season. Even though they finished in the 3rd seed, they've been very underrated. But it's hurting them. 4th seed. It's hurting them to go against Milwaukee Bucks and the Greek Freak. I mean, that guy is just a specimen. That gentleman out in Milwaukee he helps. That ball club goes as he goes, and he helped win that first game for them. Toronto got the second game, but now they got to go to Milwaukee, and it's gonna be difficult to play against Milwaukee. That's tradition of being good in the playoffs. You know, when they had Ray Allen and when they had Big Dog. You know, they're a good team. They haven't been great as of late, but if you go back in their past, that team is known for being pretty good at home in the playoffs. So Toronto has a tall bridge to climb.
They sure do. And the other series that we want to dive into, last night we saw Westbrook with his triple-double, but he said, look, I don't give a bleep. We didn't win the game. Harden scores 35. Oklahoma City had that game. I mean, they had a lead deep into the 4th quarter. How were the Rockets able to not only win that game, kind of win it going away? I know that the Thunder made a late push in that game, but that was a 10-point game with about a minute and a half to go.
It was. But then they just do what they do. James Harden just creates for so many people. They spread the floor 5-out offense. Even when Capella's in there finishing around the rim, they have so many shooters. You have to pick your poison because if you don't rotate off of Lou Williams, so you got somebody else hit the three. Trevor Ariza out of the starting 5, was probably the worst three-point shooter out there, is able to get going. So they just have a complete team, and they just come in with a full clip. Many guys can shoot that ball, and no matter who you rotate off of, that person you most like, other than Capello, you rotating off, is probably a three-point shooter, and they just clawed their way back. Russ missed some shots in the last 4 minutes that helped Houston go down and hit a couple of clutch threes and pull them slightly back. But if it's not for Russ, for OKC, then OKC is in a lot of trouble. They don't have that second scorer. They don't have a third scorer. They got Taj Gibson. They got Big Steven Adams. They got some guys, some bonus who can score down low, but they're not consistent when teams are doubling on them, doubling down low, and they leaving OKC 9 shooters open. Then they're easy to defend, and that's what they're finding. Russ has to score 50 to keep him in the game. Respectfully, he has to finish with 50, 15, and 15 in order to give him a chance to win. And so far, it just hasn't helped.
So, Mark, knowing what we know now through the first 2 games of each series, is there any Eastern team that's able to challenge Cleveland in your mind, and any Western team that's able to challenge Golden State in your mind?
Well, in my mind, I still think, I think San Antonio will and can give Golden State a run for their money. Believe it or not, I think Utah is very underrated. I remember we spoke weeks ago. I said I had Utah winning that series against Cleveland, and I still do. With Rudy Gobert out, if he comes back and play, yes, but without him, it's going to be a tall task for them to swallow. But I think any other team other than Portland in the West can give the hobbling Golden State Warriors a run for their money, as long as Kevin Durant is not 100%. Remember, they gave up a lot off that bench to attain Kevin Durant. Yes, the big fella in the middle has been playing well, and JaVale McGee's been playing well defensive, finishing shots around the paint. But you need a bench. You need multiple scorers to do great things in the NBA in the playoffs. So they're going to miss those guys if Kevin Durant is not 100% going into that. As far as Cleveland, as long as they got the best player on the planet, LeBron James, they have a fighting chance. It's going to be very difficult for teams. But Paul George is really going at them. He's making things tough, difficult for the Cleveland Cavaliers. They have to pick up their defense. They're this season one of the best three-point shooting teams in the league, and he was also on the defensive end one of the best defensive teams guarding the three-point shot. But right now, I think they're starting to find their groove. So it'll be more difficult for Golden State than it will be for Cleveland to go to the finals.
All right, Marc Jackson, taking a look at some of the more intriguing series here as the NBA playoffs continue. Listen to them tomorrow night on 97.3 ESPN. We'll have that Oklahoma City-Houston matchup for you. Coverage starts at 8:30. All right, my friend, we'll catch up next week as these series should be wrapping up, and we should be into round number 2.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be some great – I see some very interesting things happen when the away teams go on a roll in the playoffs. I'm looking forward to talking to you.
All right, pal. That's Marc Jackson, Comcast Sportsnet pre and
Mark,
post.
as always.
Former Sixer, former NBA player, jumped around, of course, overseas, Temple grad as
Roman
well.
Catholic, too. We'll throw that in. We'll hit them all.
We will stay connected with Mark throughout the offseason for the NBA playoffs, the finals, and the draft.